We've been over this summer getting to know our friends coming in the Big 12, and we wrap up our Meet the Big 12 series by taking a look at Oklahoma State. We welcome in Marshall Scott, part of the Pistols Firing the Oklahoma State website. Marshall, thanks for being with us on Sons of UCF Live.
Thank you guys for having me. Can you hear me? Is my audio good?
Your audio's fine.
Beautiful.
Fine. What do you guys make of you losing Oklahoma, rival for you, Texas, of course, you add BYU, Houston, Cincinnati, and of course, UCF. What's the reaction to this change up in the Big 12?
Yeah, I think initially it was more anger, I guess, from Oklahoma State fans that OU would go behind their back. This is what they thought. And then, do this deal without, Oklahoma State being involved. Nowadays it's kind of split. Some people want to continue Bedlam because it's tradition and things like that. And some people are like, hey, they did bad business with us. Why would we ever get back into business with them? Texas, we'll laugh at them all you want for losing to Kansas at home or whatever their football struggles may be. But that's always a big game for everybody. Everybody gets up for Texas just because it's such a historic program. But I think, there's a Oklahoma State fan. His name's OKC Dave Hudson. He does a fan survey every year. And last year he asked, where do you hope Oklahoma State ends whenever this conference realignment shuffle ends? And most of the people were saying literally anywhere but the Big 12. They're saying, the Big 10. They're saying the Pac-12, which is hilarious at this point. And then he did it again this year. And now people want to stay in the Big 12. The majority of the vote was actually to stay in the Big 12. And I think that goes a long way in how things stabilized with the four teams coming in. So I think it's looking up now. There's always going to be some mixed emotions when it comes to Bedlam and OU and things like that. But I think for the time being, everything's kind of looking up.
Marshall, Mike Gundy, a little crazy, no? Is he okay?
Yeah, I think a little is a bit of an understatement. We had media availability today. I'm not sure if you guys saw, but he started doing one-handed push-ups. This is like 5 minutes. It's not even, the end of it where, you think stuff starts to get off the rails. We started off the rails this morning. It was about 8:30 local time, and he's doing one-handed push-ups just on the ground right in front of the practice facility there. So, I think it's a little I think the term a little is a bit of an understatement. He's very calculated, though. I think he comes off as, oh, this guy's, unintelligent. And I kind of think that's how he wants people to think. But almost everything he says is really calculated. I think him goofing off with us so far this preseason kind of tells you that he thinks the team's going to be pretty good this year. I think if he thought they weren't going to be very good, he'd be a little more reserved and things like that. But yeah, I think a little crazy is definitely fair. You could even move it to a lottle if you wanted to.
You guys are coming off a tough loss in that championship game last year. What's the outlook on the team this year? Are they going to rebound strong, or how's it looking?
The Big 12 is looking pretty open this year, just from a everybody's standpoint. Spencer Sanders returns at quarterback. People have their differing opinions on Spencer Sanders. He threw 4 interceptions in that Big 12 title game, but at the same time, he basically won them the Fiesta Bowl against Notre Dame. So it looks like he had a pretty good year last year. He threw seven of his interceptions came against Baylor. And Baylor's had a really good defense. They had Dave Aranda, obviously coaching that side of the ball. So I think things are looking up. The Big 12 in general just kind of looks open. OU looks to be on a bit of an upswing. Texas always has potential. They've always got athletes. Maybe this is the year they pull it all together. Probably not, but maybe. Baylor obviously looking really good. Kansas State's kind of a sneaky team this year. So I think things are looking up. They're a little inexperienced on defense. Their defense was so good last year. But bringing in 2 new linebackers, bringing in an entirely new secondary. But on the defensive front, they're going to be stacked because they returned everybody. But I think there's room for optimism, but I think the Big 12 is going to be pretty open this year in general. So it'll kind of be interesting to see how it plays out.
Help us understand Oklahoma State. Now with Oklahoma leaving, does the fan base see maybe an easier path in the Big 12 without Oklahoma?
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, the argument for people okay with Bedlam being dead, that's what Oklahoma State is called. It's called Bedlam. I think in a lot of ways, the viewpoint of it being dead is good for OSU to get out of Oklahoma's shadow. Oklahoma State is a perennial top 25 team. Has had a lot of 10-win seasons here as of late. But the big bad wolf, it is just an hour south of Stillwater. So I think that there's in a lot of ways, I'm sure Texas Tech feels a similar way. I'm sure Baylor feels a similar way, that, Oklahoma State kind of feels like it could be the new big bad wolf of the Big 12. I think that's kind of up for grabs right now, and Oklahoma State has just as good a shot as anybody. I think to kind of take that moniker over. So the argument for people being okay with Bedlam going away is that, hey, we don't have to worry about OU anymore. These 10-win seasons can actually mean something because it could come with conference titles and things like that. So yeah, I think a majority of the fan base too, maybe not a majority, but a part of the fan base as well, is just always going to want that tradition. I personally grew up, the Bedlam was the biggest game of the year for me. So even though Oklahoma State lost it just about every time I watched it, but it's kind of split 50-50, maybe not 50-50. I think a majority of fans at this point are kind of coming around to the idea of kind of getting out of Oklahoma State shadow, or getting out of Oklahoma's shadow.
How would you describe the composition of the state? What percentage are Oklahoma fans?
Yeah, it's much larger.
60-40?
No, I bet it's 80-20.
80-20 in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you really, if you're in most cases, if you or your family went to Oklahoma State, you're an Oklahoma State fan. If literally anything else, if maybe one of your family went to a regional college, then you're just an OU fan, just because OU is the historic program around here. It's not that case in everything, but at best 70-30, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's 80-20. I went to a couple of small town schools in the state of Oklahoma, and I feel like I was outnumbered just about everywhere I went.
All right, Marshall, we're trying to get to know our new friends in the Big 12, specifically what to expect if we make trips out to these cities for games. So obviously Stillwater, a place I venture a lot of Knight fans haven't been. So I did some research. I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
Went to TripAdvisor. I got the top 5 places to visit in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Do you have any idea what any of these top 5 are? Can you rattle off any of what you suspect are the top 5 things to do in Stillwater?
I'm going to guess Eskimo Joe's is on there.
It's not. I don't know what that is, but it's not on here.
Okay, that's like the place to eat.
We're off to a bad start. Okay.
What kind of food? What kind of food at Eskimos?
Just like burgers and things like that. Their main thing is cheese fries. Sweet pepper bacon cheese fries. If you guys are ever in town, those are delicious. It's kind of like, I think you have to go to Eskimo Joe's once. That's kind of like the thing. But the locals, you can kind of get tired of it. But okay, my next guess would be Hideaway Pizza.
Not on here. Sorry. We're off to a great start.
Is it
These are more
Marshall's
these are
getting
more
to
like
know Oklahoma State too.
Yeah, I guess so.
more locations, if you will, not necessarily
food.
Restaurants.
Okay, well, there is not a lot of locations in Stillwater.
Okay.
So
all right.
there's
Well,
Boomer Lake. I don't know.
I'll read you the top 5. The Boomer Lake is number 3. Yeah, very good. Okay. Number 5, the Iron Monk Brewery.
Okay, Oklahoma State just recently had a deal with them. That's going to be the official beer partner of the university. So
that is huge.
Somewhat new, but okay.
What, have you been? What kind of beer should we try if we go there?
It's like draft stuff. I'm personally gluten free, so wheat and me don't get along. But
wheat and me don't get along.
Yeah.
Number
You'll
4,
love the gluten-free hot dogs now available in the bounce house when Oklahoma State comes to play UCF.
Number 4, Botanic Garden.
Okay, it's nice. Like you're probably going to spend an hour at most at both of these places so far, but okay, nice area.
Okay, fair enough. Number 3, Boomer Lake Park.
Okay, it's really just
another hour.
People run around it, people walk around it. I enjoy a nice jog around Boomer Lake every now and again, but it's nothing I'd take my family to or anything.
Another hour there.
Maybe.
Okay, we got 3 hours, so we're coming in maybe Saturday morning.
I can help with number 2. Number 2 is OSU Boone Pickens Stadium is number 2.
Okay, that would make sense. That's like the university is this town. Move-in day, or this classes start next week. The population of this town has doubled within the last few days, just because all the students are coming back.
And somehow number 1, Lost Creek Safari.
Okay, Lost Creek Safari. My fiance, she's in the other room right now. She loves her some Lost Creek Safari. So it's essentially a petting zoo. I'm trying to whisper because she's gonna be like, "Ooh, let's go tomorrow." It's essentially a petting zoo.
We won't tell her. It's fine.
Wild animals, lions, tigers, bears. What are we petting there? Goats?
No, it's like there's like deer. There's a camel.
One camel.
Yeah, his name is Gilbert. Same camel the whole time. I believe now an Oklahoma State wrestler actually owns Lost Creek Safari. That happened last year, I believe. So a lot of the wrestlers actually work there. There's some monkeys there. It's a fun place. You can spend more than an hour there.
So maybe come in Friday for a Saturday game, pick up the safari, end with the brewery, and you got a good Friday.
That sounds like a good time.
I want to learn more about tailgating, but I'm concerned that that Lost Creek Safari is ahead of OSU on this list of things to do. Does that mean the tailgating scene at Oklahoma State is not strong? What can you tell us about that?
I think the tailgating scene has grown tremendously under Mike Gundy. I personally think it's. I watched you guys TCU one. He said TCU is probably among the best. I've been to every Big 12 stadium except for West Virginia. TCU is not among the best.
He said a lot of things I don't think anyone agreed with.
So I think Oklahoma State's among the best. It's really just all around campus. There's tents set up from the Friday before, all day Saturday. Some people don't even go into the game. The games are always like sold out essentially, but so it's always full around there. People got TVs, people got barbecues going on. That one's good. Iowa State is always really good. Texas Tech's pretty good.
What's your burning couch situation like? Any of those?
No burning couches. I like I said, I haven't made it out to Morgantown. No burning couches. There is a legend that the 2011 Bedlam game, they tore down the goalposts after Oklahoma State won. There is a legend that they got those goalposts somehow out of the stadium and into Theta Pond. I haven't confirmed that. I haven't ever seen any pictures of that, but that's I think as close as you can get to a burning couch situation.
If they got those Lost Creek Safari, I'd be impressed.
Yeah, that's quite a ways out there.
Yeah.
All right, so we've had the chance to talk to somebody from every school in the Big 12 so far. The guys at Texas Tech don't like you guys, to be honest. Yep. And now with Texas and Oklahoma leaving, are you guys the most hated team left in the Big 12? If not, who is?
Good question. So it could be us. It could be Oklahoma State. It could be Tech. Oklahoma State and Tech don't like each other. There's a lot of who did what first. Both teams, this is their sign, both guys. They have the horse thing. It's both schools think that somebody stole something from somebody. There's not a whole lot of Baylor. Baylor's going to get mad that I said this, but Baylor is the closest thing that the Big 12 has to like Texas A&M in that it's somewhat cult-like. So there's that. But yeah, I think Texas is the obvious punching bag here, but then I want to say Texas Tech. I could see where Texas Tech would want to say Oklahoma State, but then I'd also say Baylor, which might make Baylor be the actual answer. I think more teams around the Big 12 would actually say Baylor.
When you visited Lubbock, did you check out Prairie Dog Town?
I did not. I was actually born in Lubbock, but whenever it's a ways out there. Whenever you drive out there, you just see nothing for a really long time. So every time I go out there, I'm just ready to hit my hotel, go to the game, and then go back to my hotel, then drive back.
We're learning with these weekly chats that may be the slogan for the Big 12. You drive along while without seeing a whole lot of anything. What other sports should UCF fans know? Pretty competitive. They're going to get a good game against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, so Mike Holder, who is the athletic director, he retired a few years back. He did a great job in building facilities around. There's a new soccer stadium here. There's a brand new baseball stadium here. Softball is in the process of looks like getting a new stadium. Really nice tennis facility. So Oklahoma State is really competitive in a lot of things. Basketball, it's kind of a up and down. A lot of people believe in Mike Boynton, the basketball coach, but it just haven't necessarily turned into winning quite yet. But it's a historically great program. Baseball, really good. Wrestling is outstanding. The most national championships of any team in any sport is Oklahoma State wrestling. I wish I could rattle off the number. I think it's in the 50s. So wrestling.
Good for UCF. No wrestling program. That's a good thing for UCF.
So wrestling, outstanding. Softball has made the College World Series the past 2 times. Almost made it in the championship series this past year. Soccer teams usually a top 25 caliber team. Tennis teams are both really good. Cross country teams usually really good. Women's basketball has a new coach here, and there's a lot of excitement around her. So it really goes back to Mike Holder, just kind of finding donations to build out all these nice facilities around campus, and that's turned into good recruiting and then good products on the field, on the court, etc.
Yeah, you mentioned donors. No shortage of money there. You guys, from what I've seen, have great facilities.
Yeah, Michael and Greenwood Tennis Center, they've been very generous. Cecil Obrate, he graduated from Oklahoma State. Didn't really have any ties coming back to Oklahoma State. Mike Holder just went up, drove up to Kansas one day and got enough money to build the state-of-the-art baseball stadium, which is pretty incredible. And then obviously T Boone Pickens, his $100 million donation, which kind of kicked this whole thing off. But Boone sadly passed a couple of years ago. So yeah, there's money around. I don't think it's quite like Tech's got a lot of money around. Obviously the private schools have a good chunk of money around. So I think that's kind of gonna become an arms race in terms of NIL until some guardrails get put on this. But yeah, as far as facilities go, it seems like there's always somebody to step up to get Oklahoma State what it needs.
Marshall Scott with Pistols Firing, giving us a look at Oklahoma State. We thank you for being with us on Sons Live.
Thank you guys for having me. This was fun.